Hey guys, what's up? I'm here to give you guys a recap on the new episode of RWBY Volume 8 on Episode 8 or Chapter 8. Now, it's been very long, or should I say many months, about 1 to 2 months at least? 1 or 2 months at least? Yeah, about 1 month and a couple weeks that we had our last RWBY chapter or episode of Volume 8. I had to watch this and skim through it multiple times to figure out what's going on, try to get as much important detail as possible. I mean, there were a lot of things that happened in this episode, but 90% of it was this thing, and then the other 10% was here and there. But if anything else, let's just get this started. After the opening of the volume, we have to it that Crow wakes up from a certain disturbance of noise, and we have to it that Robin and Crow have a small talk with each other while we see someone blasting through a freaking hole whatsoever that shocked the living heck out of Crow and Robin, Then we get to see a blackbird or possibly raven, which I go into shock right now because there's only one kind of person that could just be there right away. And you all know what I'm talking about. There's no denial of the fact we all know who that is. And that bird is possibly trying to give warning to possibly Crow and Robin. But like I said, we all have to know who that bird is. All I could really tell you right now without a lot of confusion, someone blasted through the wall of the prison where Crow, Robin, Watts, and Jacques Cheney is at, and of course that little blackbird was there right away. So we all know who that is. I mean, it's pretty obvious from the get-go. I'm really shocked to see her come back, but we'll see how this goes, But that aside, the other 90% involves RWBY, Weiss, Whitley, Klein, and Blake. Okay, let's see here. RWBY, Blake, Weiss, Whitley, Klein, etc. We have to it that Klein's taking care of Nora carefully while Whitley, RWBY, Blake, and Weiss ends up bringing Penny up to Weiss's room, to try to get her patched up. She's not that hard in terms of anatomy and things are looking well, while Marigold, I think that's her name. Yeah, May Marigold, I think, or her last name is Marigold or something, whatever she is. She's going back to the crater and apologizes that she can't stick around. And RWBY says, no, we're the one that's sorry. Just a lot of things are happening, We have to it that RWBY, Weiss, Blake, along with Whitley and Klein are trying to figure things out. Whitley, knowing that people are in the crater, he could use the cargo ships that was all in the hangar because of the embargo, And then they have a lot of automated drones to actually do a lot of work, So Whitley suggests that we could use those ships and drones to pick people up from the crater and bring them to Atlas. But I don't know if that might be a good thing or something. But, with the Grim being occupied with Atlas's forces right now, this might have the intention to work, but I don't know. Whatever the case may be, they all decide to split up to put up a backup generator power for the Schnee's mansion whatsoever, so they could try to fix up Penny, But we see to it that by that time, the Hound Grim, or Salem's pet experiment, ends up having to attack RWBY and Blake after they have a small conversation with each other, while Blake encourages RWBY not to give up, saying that I looked up to you, after what you've been going through and what you did, etc., And as the episode continues on, we have to it that as it is ongoing, like I said, the Hound ends up attacking Blake and RWBY after Blake's talk with RWBY after opening up the backup generator at the Schnee mansion. We have to it that Blake calls in for help for Weiss, while Weiss, on the other hand, asks Klein, Whitley, can you handle the rest of the stuff? And Whitley's like, hey, man, as long as you can handle that, okay? And Weiss is like, we could really need to work on that attitude of yours. But hey, man, Weiss had that same attitude too, but she improved, so I can understand where she's coming from. That aside, it looks like to me the Hound is really onto RWBY, maybe because she has that scent of Penny Polendina, But after seeing that Penny kind of malfunctions and going out of control and, etc., we have to it that she's about to lose control of herself, and it's because of Watts' hacking program, which really, really sucks. It's really bad out there. But We see to it that as the episode continues on with its own situation, we see to it that that the Hound ends up entering the Shnee mansion while Weiss decides to go handle the Hound and try to stop it, while while Blake will try to help out Ruby and sees a new type of Grim. And yeah, pretty disgusting Grim, and it's the same one we saw in the trailer. But that aside, the episode chapter continues on with Weiss having to deal with the Hound, but later on, Willow decides to use what little courage she has left to actually use the cameras to to tell Weiss where the Hound is going. The Hound ends up sniffing to a room where Whitley is at, and Whitley's all kind of concerned and scared. But with Willow's courage and finally moving, she actually has the power to summon glyphs. We see that. She says after she summoned a tusk board to distract the Hound, she tells Whitley to run. Whitley, before he ran out, presses the button for them to actually go to the crater and get people out of there to get them to Atlas, etc. So yeah, pretty much job well done. Blake struggles against a new type of Grim and almost got herself killed, but Ruby shows up on the nick of time to save her. And we see to it as the episode continues on Whitley and Weiss and Willow. Well, Whitley and Willow get saved by Weiss's ice wall whatsoever. As for Penny, it looks like to me she's malfunctioning and is going to be forced to go somewhere. But with Nora's help, she seems to be able to occupy herself, Nora telling Penny, hey, no one can tell you what to do whatsoever, okay? It is you who decides. That's only a part of you. Don't give up, as Nora realizes what's happening to Penny right now, But unfortunately, since Penny's a robot, etc., it's pretty much almost impossible to disobey certain things such as the programming whatsoever, Eventually, Penny, on the other hand, ends up having to push Klein out of the way, and then we have to it that that Whitley and Willow, who's okay, and Whitley's looking at Penny's what are you doing? And Penny therefore tells Whitley, I have to open the vault. After that, I'm going to self-terminate, etc. And we see to it, of course, that the Hound shows up in front of Penny, and Penny tries to fight it, but unfortunately for her programming, since she's not at her full capacity, the Hound ends up beating down Penny like no tomorrow, And we see to it that it ends up saying, take the girl. And it said those words when it attacked Ruby, and now it's attacking Penny, saying, take the girl. But we see to it that Ruby, Blake, and Weiss shows up, and Ruby uses her silver eyes to push back the Hound. And unfortunately for her, the Hound shows up, and we get to see the Hound's true face. It was a face of a person or a human or a faunus whatsoever. And it ends up saying out loud, take the girl. And yeah, we see it literally had a face of a faunus or a human being. I'm serious. This is what's shocking the most when it was kind of hinted at about some kind of human experiment, and looks like to me the Hound that's combined with this experiment is not really affected by the silver eyes, not as much as a original Grim, And as the episode continues on, we have to it says take the girl while it approaches Ruby, Blake, and Weiss and Penny. We have to it that Willow and Whitley uses the statue in the house and pushes it onto the Hound or the Grim or the experiment Grim, and they go and after it was destroyed or killed, we have to it that Blake and Weiss is asking, what is that? And Ruby's it was a person. And we see that we see an arm that's that of a person, and then we see that Cinder is the one who blew open the prison vault where Watts is at and decides to pick him up and says, I got a couple questions for you, And we see too that Cinder flies off into the distance with Watts to possibly go find Penny whatsoever. So yeah. Yeah, a lot of things have been happening here and there. All I could really tell you, Cinder attacks the prison and of course break and frees Watts, while at the same time I'm pretty sure she must have freed Crow and Robin along with Jock Schnee, And, you know, like I said, that Blackbird, Raven, or Crow, no, I'm pretty sure it's Raven because there's only one other person who could do that, and a bird could be that smart. We all know who that person is. It has to be her. And, of course, like, the Hound fight. Pretty much Weiss, Blake, and Ruby struggled greatly against that, while Whitley's trying to grab some the cargo and robots to try to get people out of the crater into Atlas, you know, to safety, while Atlas is occupied with the grim forces whatsoever, you know. And yeah, pretty much the Hound fight, which we found out that it is an experiment that Salem mentioned, and has actually had the face of a faunus, and it says take the girl whatsoever, and almost, and you know, yeah. Well, yeah, that was one way how to bring us back into the freaking, like, series, you know. It's been a very long time. I'm looking forward to the next chapter episode. Pretty hectic, you know. I don't know what else to go for, but one thing for sure, it's, yeah. So, until then, people, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Alphazzetto. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot.